How do you actually get your boyfriend to propose? 7 practical ways to get him to propose. Bring out that engagement ring or make a marriage proposal. And we've been looking at the attitude and mindset that you should or must have. Remember, you always have choices, even when you think you don't. Be willing to honor your core value. And if it is a deal breaker to you to get married, then you need to make some choices. Be willing and be detached from the outcome of the choices that you make, and recognize if it is in your favor, yep, all is good, you're happy. If it turns out that the answer is against what you would prefer, then be willing to feel the hurt, feel the disappointment, cry the tears, and move on. Now, in this section, I want to talk about the fact that you have power and influence. You may not feel that way. You may be sitting and waiting for your boyfriend to, make the proposal, come up with the ring, and you don't want to say anything. You don't want to think that you're pushy, or you're desperate and you have no power to influence this decision. But you've got the power. You have the influence. And that's what we want to let you know now. I want you to know 2 things. You're more powerful and more influential than you give yourself credit for. The reason why your boyfriend chose to be with you is because he wants to be with you. He loves you. He too has and had choices. He could have chosen someone else over you. He could have chosen one of a number of perhaps several girls over you. But because of your influence, he gravitated towards you. He chose you out of the lot, and he is with you because you have influence over him. And to be able to use your influence, we are suggesting that you use what we call soft, feminine skills and influence. Let me just explain this to you. We don't want you to use brute force. We don't want you to manipulate him. We don't want you to come up with clever tactics, but to just simply use your influence. And by that, I want you to think of little girls, little girls who can twist their big, huge, muscular daddy around their finger. All they need to do is to maybe put on a cute little smile and say, "Pretty please, daddy, please," and melt the heart of a Hulk who would otherwise get into a hand combat fight with anyone who threatens him. So just think of it. Use your feminine skills, your soft skills to influence him. You don't want to come across as a threat. You don't want to come across as demanding. You don't want to come across as all powerful and manipulative, but just simply in using the feminine power that you have, you want to be able to influence him. How can we do that? The first method I'm suggesting is that you be vulnerable. By being vulnerable, I know deep within your heart you have feelings, and the reason why you want the security is because there are many different factors that hang on this, and that part of you is so sensitive that if rejected, you might be crushed. And so many times you want to be married, you want the security of having someone commit to you in such a way, but the reasons are buried deep down in your delicate fleshly heart and soul. So what we're suggesting is that you become vulnerable. Being vulnerable is a frightening thing because you can be abused and you can be ignored and you can be rejected. But being vulnerable also helps other people to be vulnerable too. Talk about your fears. Let this person know that, look, you're afraid of being abandoned. You are afraid that, you could invest all this time and energy and effort, and one day he walks out on you or cheats on you, and you don't, and just express your fears, the reasons behind your looking for and longing for and desiring a further commitment. Talk about your hopes that one day you're looking forward to having children, and you want the security of their father being around and supporting you with the nurture and admonition of these children. Talk about your dreams. Talk about what it would mean to you, that you would feel valued personally, because there is a status in society that when you get married, you are looked on differently, you are treated differently. I'm not making a moralistic judgment on it, but that's the way it is, that you would go up in the sight of friends. You have been going to weddings, you have been participating in weddings, you've been a bridesmaid and all of this thing, and you want something similar. You want to be able to share with your friends, and there is a little aspect of envy and jealousy that you can't even let people know. Your family is looking forward to having grandchildren, and you want your dad or your mom or to be able to value, or to be able to see you go through that process. You want your dad to walk you down the aisle. It would mean so much to you. And just, if you just peel back the wall of your heart and let him understand where you are. Also, let him know that you understand his position. If it's not for him, and if he doesn't want that, if he doesn't feel comfortable with that, you respect his position. But this is the way you feel, and these are why you feel this way. And I want to almost wager that it would also bring out his soft, vulnerable heart. And he could probably talk about his fears, the reasons why he has the position. And the both of you could negotiate and talk about how best to take this forward. So remember, you've got the power, you have influence, but use the soft skills rather than brute force and manipulation.